manufacturing sites to a supply planners, and they decide who they give stock. And naturally, in my experience, what happens is they supply to their local market first, they give their capacities to their local market first, and then Middle East comes in, which is screw us big time. What do you think?
Spot on. However, there are techniques to eliminate, not eliminate, to minimize,
mitigate
and minimize the impact.
Quick fire, right? Give me the let's call it a non-conventional funny definition of forecast. Supply chain would have a mascot, right? How the mascot would look like. We covered the Cinderella last time. Mascot, I'm talking. This video is brought to you by us, SCMDOJO. We provide awesome courses, guides, best practices for supply chain community. Hi folks, welcome to one more episode of the Supply Chain Show. Right, we have had Doaa before, and she has really enlightened us with the knowledge of challenges and opportunities of the supply chain, and we briefly touched base on sales and operations planning and a very specific challenges. And given Doaa has worked for Mascot and few other baker companies, and I work for Bristol. So today is more like a discussion about what we have, both of us have together. You know, if you want to run an S&OP in the region, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and we touch base on tech part. That's the topic of discussion, right? Welcome to the show again. Right.
Thank you.
You look great.
Yeah,
I think.
thank
good
you.
to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
Good to be here again. That's great. So I think we want to start with the like higher level view, right? So when we want to run S&OP, it's very difficult from if you work in a manufacturing company in Europe or America, where you have a suppliers, you have your own distribution house, you give it to the wholesale retail. It doesn't work like that here. A typical supply chain is you are a principal company who has to ship it through distributors, which is mainly nominated by the country, right, who owns the inventory, right, who basically have a lot of power.
Owns a big part of the inventory.
Big part of the inventory, and then wholesaler distributor. So keeping that high level supply chain design in mind, where you see, for example, what are the high level challenges and opportunities for running S&OP?
Very good. So I'll go one step back.
Okay.
Explaining the objective of the S&OP. Why we stress on having an S&OP.
Done.
S&OP main objective is to balance demands and supply. That's it.
You're taking my course, of course. Just kidding. Of course not.
Is to manage demand and supply. Okay. So the distributor or our downstream here in the region, it's multi-tiers. So it's from the principal to the distributor to the wholesaler sometimes to the retailer. So all these tiers has to be integrated in the S&OP. Why? Because they are responsible of the demand that you need to balance. So if you have wrong demand or no visibility over demand, your balance exercise will not be correct. So that's why it's very important to have S&OP, because this is its a key objective.
Very good. Quick fire, right? Give me the let's call it a non-conventional funny definition of forecast. Supply chain would have a mascot, right? How the mascot would look like. We covered the Cinderella last time. Mascot, I'm talking. Now, so talking about balancing demand and supply, so where is the demand is generated? The demand is generated at the end user, i.e. wholesaler. Distributor are essentially a consolidation point, a buffering point, where basically the end user demand is collected for a specific territory or a region or a country. Now, as a principle, we take all the distributors in a various different regions of the country and then accumulate. So the demand aggregation is actually happening at two levels. Right. So let's focus on this demand visibility. Right. So my view is that we talked about very quickly, briefly on sell and sell out. Right. So we as a principle always focus on what we're selling in. That means pushing the inventory as much as possible, because we want our bonuses and targets and all that.
Wrong practice.
Wrong practice, where we don't actually take care of that. If you do that, eventually sellout can only happen whatever the demand in the marketplace, right? You can push as much inventory as you like, but next year you have a problem because you're sitting on 6 months of stock rather than 3 months of stock, which should be the
And freshness issues and
freshness issues and
obsolescence.
DOT obsolescence. So you're effectively causing a problem. So
Yes.
right. So that's a challenge. Would you agree?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the real, I think, opportunity here is again creating a collaborative supply chain where distributors should become an integrated part of a principle, saying, okay, that's our sell in, that's our sell out, and that based on replenishment lead time, that should be our demand forecast.
Yes.
Right? But it doesn't happen like that.
Yes.
Why not?
Why not? Because we operate in silos. Okay, so distributor operate in on its own. We operate as principals on our own. This should not be the case. We should work in alignment and in sync. In alignment mean we align our numbers. In sync means we align our strategies. Yeah. So your strategy is to gain market share, or is to be very specified in a niche market. What is our strategies together? And this is very important. The capability of the distributor as well. So our sales as a principle is highly impacted by the distributor capability in selling.
Yeah.
So building his own capability as well will lead into a better demand performance.
But
However,
not a lot of principals spend a lot of money. They just want to keep pushing the stock, right?
of course, and that's why we said before it's very important to pick your distributor, because if you represent a very small volume of its portfolio, or if you are not profitable enough for him, why he will invest? Yeah, so mutuality is very important. Now coming back to the demand data and demand volatility. As we said before, there is a bullwhip effect if it's not captured properly. So why the distributor will not share with us as a principal the retail data, though that he has it? Yeah,
it's in the contract as well.
It's in the contract, but it doesn't happen. Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Not with the transparency we would like to have.
Oh yeah, but we need to. We need here to create a safe trust and a safe zone, meaning that you do the exercise on your own, I will do the exercise on my own using the same set of data, and then we will align on the numbers and we hold each other accountable. This has to be there in the culture.
Yeah, but then there is a inter-company or inter-customer politics involved, right? Because the sales guy's bonus depends on the sellout, right? They don't want, because I want to do a project where I said, okay, if I know my distributor, so for example, okay, they're in a different ERP system, we're in a different ERP system, that's fine. But to have this integration is not rocket science, right? You just create a crowd structure where you create basically an API link, which whatever they're gonna sell on a daily basis, the trigger will come to us, and then we will know what you sell, right? Okay, and we know your order inventory at the start of the month, at the end of the month. So we can really collect a real-time sell-out data environment. So we can, with that, because we know our replenishment lead time, we can in fact recommend the PO to a distributor. I tried to do this project, theoretically worked. Guess who's the biggest opponent for that? Our sales guys.
Yes, I'll tell you why, because there is a missing piece here.
Okay.
The integrating the data and having the data is one piece, and a very important piece. Another piece is to align on the building blocks of the future forecast. This is very important.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean that if my history say I sold X, and we all agree on that because it's based on data that we both have. You're saying that I will sell, distributor says that I will sell X plus 2. I'm saying that you will sell X plus 1. Great. Tell me, what are the drivers behind selling X plus 2? You need to give me the drivers for that. If I use time series forecast, this will be your number. Why you are exceeding that? Is it new promotions that I did not capture? And this is another thing, by the way, a lot of distributors, they run local promotions that accelerate sales, and you are blind too.
We don't know about it.
You don't know. You need to know about it. Yeah, you need to know about it, and you need to know that it's driven by those peaks are driven by local promotions.
They don't share the information.
So these building blocks are very important. Do you have, for example, parallel trade? So that's why your numbers are down. those building blocks has to be very clear, and this what we need to have in the feeder meetings between us.
Which is like a feeder meeting is like a demand review meeting with the distributor, right?
With
Which
the distributor.
I have not experienced honestly even though with the companies I work for, it was like, hey, you go, that's the forecast, that's the demand, go and whatever.
It's an integral part of a proper S&OP
with
cycle.
the distributors.
If you are you need to have
so those points you mentioned, it would become the feeder meeting agenda items.
Yes, exactly. Building blocks. Another point, measure. How you measure your case fill to trade, how you measure your bias of the distributor, not you to the distributor, no, of the sellout. What is the bias, what is the forecast accuracy? Those data together will give you a message.
Do you think our distributors in the region are mature enough to understand all these key terms?
Yes, they do. They are.
Yes, you said yes, right?
Yes, we have good distributor here, so in this region, and mature.
And this is a very important point I want to emphasize here. For some people, when I talk to some companies in Europe and America, especially on some software providers, they think that Middle East live in, I don't know, under the cave or in the desert. They've got no idea what demand forecast is, S&OP is, how to run time series forecast, and how to run supply reviews, and what is.
That's not right.
It's pretty strong S&OP project, pretty strong companies using a lot of good software, a lot of good tech. The way they use it is
yes,
maybe
exactly.
could have been better,
but
you could argue that in most of the Western countries as well. You could have been better, right? They could do, obviously they could do better, but no, there is no Stone Age, there is no desert. The maturity is there. A lot of talented people is there. A lot of smart people is there. Actually, demand planning, if you ask me, is one of the highest sought after job in the region, because
that's true.
I've got right now 3 requests from 3 different people. If you know a good demand planner, let me know. So if you're a good demand planner watching this, let me know and I'll get you connected, right?
Correct.
It's a high sought after thing, and we want to do some workshops and create more demand plans. Anyway, so we covered enough about demand. Let's move to the supply part. Right. So the supply part challenges I've seen is this, which I think you mentioned in the first episode when you come in. Despite Middle East is important, is generally a high margin region for most companies, right?
Yes,
it's a high margin region. It's not like Europe is slim margins, but the volumes are not enough, right? The volumes are not European models or Asian models or India, China, big numbers, and America big numbers. And it's very uniquely, like each country have a small number and have a unique set of problems. It's like a headache, right? So the point I'm making is, so when it comes to the stock allocation from principal, it doesn't matter what vertical you are in, we go down the priority, because the manufacturing is not in a region, you know that. Maybe some in Saudi, right? But majority is not. So the principal who are either sitting in America or India or Europe, they are the feeder plants. So they are the ones. So when we collect our demand, it goes to those manufacturing sites, to a supply planners, and they decide who they give stock. And naturally, in my experience, what happens is they supply to their local market first, they give their capacities to their local market first, and then Middle East comes in, which is screw us big time. What do you think?
Spot on. However, there are techniques to eliminate, not eliminate, to minimize,
mitigate
and minimize the impact.
Tell us.
So first, you need to work on your scalability. Meaning, it doesn't make sense that we are all we all have we are in the same region, and you find that one packaging is really every SKU has different packaging. You need to scale that as much as you can, because this will give you freedom in allocation, especially with the demand volatility. So this, and it will make it easier for the factory to have bigger lot,
right?
So economy of scale, you create the economy of scale. So this is number one. Number two, you do co-packing. So you we call it postponement or risk pooling. So you keep the customization as much as you can,
late as possible,
as late as possible.
So you bring more white label stuff in,
exactly,
and you basically put the labels on the product packaging when the demand arrives.
Exactly. So again, this will create bigger lot of production, because you have standardized.
So it's product postponement and the distribution postponement.
Exactly. Another one, but it is costly, having hubs. and building stock covers
Sure.
in the hubs.
Right.
It's costly, but again, it's a trade-off between availability and the
Yeah.
cost of building hub.
Yeah.
So there are different techniques.
Nice. No, good tips. Good
Yeah,
tips.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
So there are.
You can find the balance.
yeah, you
Okay.
can
Quick
fire.
fire. Right. Give me the let's call it a non-conventional, funny definition of forecast. Supply chain would have a mascot, right? How the mascot will look like. We covered the Cinderella last time. Mascot, I'm talking. And actually, we are hardcore supply chain planners in the region. We eventually get what we wanted.
Yes,
with
we
some
do.
few calls and few punches
We
and
do.
few nasty emails, and it works. A phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning, it works. Anyway, right, I used to do that at least. Right, when they used to sleep, I call them. Yeah, you're sleeping, I'm not sleeping. It's my working time. Anyway, now we move to the consensus and the executive review. And I just kind of put it together into executive review.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen good demand planning processes. I've good supply reviews. When it comes to executive reviews and consensus reviews, I have not seen good evidence. In my experience, actually in 17 years working as an S&OP leader, I've seen two kinds of organizations. One kind of organization where the leader, top leader, believes on S&OP, is sees as a driver for the changes, as a driver for the identification of the gaps, identification and basically drive the gap closing actions and making both mid-term, short-term and long-term strategic decisions, and even to the extent we do profit planning in S&OP. Those guys live and breathe decision making happen. And in those organizations where leader is sitting on the top and joining executive review and asking question, it works.
Yeah, it works.
The second time I've seen, some people are running their demand review with product line segments, some people are doing supply planning, supply planners. Top leader says, just tell me the sales number, are you doing it or not? Tell me my financial forecast, I don't need to know anything. This is where S&OP dies. In my experience, which I have a limited experience in, not as good as you, right? I haven't seen a lot of executive-driven S&OP meetings. Have you?
Yeah, I did, of course.
You have. Tell us about it.
So let me start by saying that S&OP is a culture that has to be sponsored by the organization leader. Without it, will not work.
Yeah.
And it's a process and a behavior and not a meeting. It's not a meeting. So it's not only a meeting.
Only a meeting.
Yeah, it's
It is a meeting.
It's a meeting,
but it's not only a meeting.
No, but it's not only a meeting.
Meeting is an enabler of the culture.
A meeting is I share my input and outputs. It's a forum.
Yeah.
It's a means where I share my input and output of the culture.
Right.
And this meeting has to be structured properly.
Yeah.
In this meeting, I should not review all my business performance.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
what you were doing the whole month. So it's very specific meeting to address gaps, go through the recommendations and take decisions.
Right.
Okay, so this is the executive meeting, how it looks like, and the funnel up to the executive meeting, the process of funneling up to the executive meeting has to be very solid, meaning that not everything go to the executive. There is the financial meeting, the IR. A lot of things can be sorted there. And one more tip: in order to have an effective executive meeting, you have to have a dollar sign next to each issue and problem.
Yeah. Impact.
You have to have the
value.
impact. Yeah. Whether it's a solution, whether it's an issue, you need to have
So
an
if I want to
impact.
increase the inventory, what is the value?
Exactly.
How much sales it will generate? If I lose this sales, or what is the inventory sales value, and so on.
And you need to have a balanced dashboard, and I will underline balanced.
Okay, that will be the last one.
Yeah.
Dashboard, tech part, right? People use software tech, but eventually the real magic happens in Excel. I've got no problem with Excel. Excel is good, right? But also I've seen a lot of companies, let me name few, big multinational corporations using connections and all that. But actually, S&OP is still running in Excel, right? And what's your view? I personally don't see a problem.
No, not a problem at all.
Right.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, right?
It's a tool. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Excel or Power BI or ML or Gen AI. They are all tools. The thing in the brains, the brain and the how. That's it. So how you think about sorting an issue. AI at the end of the day, it helps automating, give you trends
Sure.
based on parameters that you feed in. So it doesn't matter. Excel will take more time. It will be heavier on the system.
Yeah.
But again, it's a very affordable and available tool versus other.
And I think it's a great place to start. You get to the majority point when Excel becomes cumbersome, then you can go and buy a nice
And
tool.
one more thing here I would like to add. Excel is affordable. It can help you in your trial.
Yeah.
Till
While
you
you
reach
get
a concrete, a solid
Yeah, sure.
process.
Yes.
Then you move it to an
And the tool.
expensive.
Yeah, it's sexy tool and stuff. That's fine.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So if we say, so we know S&OP is important. We talk about integration. We talk about collaboration. We talk about visibility with distributors. Is win-win for everybody, right? Okay. But us saying it is one thing. So if I have to convince a distributor, right, and say, give me to give the top 3 benefits for them. So they have a, let's call it feeder meeting with the principal. What does my slide look like? Give me top 3 benefits for a distributor.
Optimized inventory, so
Right.
this will impact
Lower
his
cash
work,
flow,
yeah.
lower cash flow.
Low cash flow, faster delivery.
Yeah, better on-time delivery for the customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Faster delivery.
Shorter lead times.
Shorter lead times could be, and better market share,
Yeah.
better availability. At the end, we are all talking about availability. So it's better availability,
Right.
less freshness issues, less returns, all
Right.
these things.
Fine. Now we move to my favorite segment, which is
Fire.
quick fire.
Yes,
Quick fire. Right. We moved there. I think we asked some funny ones the last one. I've got 1 or 2 new ones. Right. Let's start from that from those as well. Okay. Give me the let's call it a non-conventional funny definition of forecast.
Non-convention.
Yeah.
Wish list. Sales wish list.
Sales wish list. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so that's fine. If supply chain would have a mascot, right? How the mascot would look like? We covered the Cinderella last time. Mascot, I'm talking.
Pass.
Yeah, pass. Okay, that's too bad actually. That's okay. 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 So if we talk about doing a forecast with AI doing forecast or a demand planner doing forecast, and if you hire a AI-based demand planner or a human demand planner, which one you hire?
Human.
Human. Why?
Of course. As I said before, it's in the technique, in picking the technique. And imagine, I'll give you an example. If your data is not following a normal distribution, okay? It's following a Poisson distribution. And your AI machine
Yeah.
only apply a normal distribution on Poisson distributed demand. The result is wrong.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. All right. Last point. Any advice you want to give a younger demand planner for yourself, which you said, okay, do this, how to become an awesome demand planner? What would be that?
Put effort and learn.
But that's general advice. I want to be a bit more precise, if you could.
Advice.
Yeah.
Learn different techniques, because not one solution fits all.
It's all right.
Yeah, be resourceful. Be resourceful. I will say that, be resourceful.
Be resourceful.
Yes.
Right, with this beautiful thought, I think thank you for coming.
Thank
Terry
you.
for sharing your knowledge. It's been pleasure as always. I think you have a fantastic knowledge, right? And I think you're available to some advice or consulting if somebody wants to hire it, right?
Of course.
Absolutely great. So if you have a S&OP issues, problems, you want to make it better, you know there are 2 people who love S&OP.
Yep.
We can talk for another hour, but our camera will die in half an hour, so we just keep it to 25 minutes because I don't have enough battery, right? With that said, we are here to help you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. You guys are awesome. So if you like what we do here, like, share, and subscribe. Keep it simple and keep it real. Ciao.
Thank you.